Alright, here we go. Songs 101 to 91, ranked and reviewed. I mentioned in the previous video how I'm going to go about doing that. The combination of personal taste while being as objective as possible. If you haven't already, check it out. These are the songs, the absolute bottom of the barrel, the worst I could think of in terms of meaning and quality. A lot of songs off the Neighborhoods and Cheshire Cat, but the other albums, while also amazing, have their worst tracks as well, so keep it mixed it up. Alright, so without further delay, here we go. Starting off with the first song, the worst I can think of. 101, Just About Done. If someone were to ask me what the worst Blink-182 song was, I think this one would immediately come to mind first. Annoying and obnoxious screaming, an incredibly stupid idea, poor instruments, except for the bongo drums, those rule. I can imagine 6th graders laughing at this as the funniest thing ever, but anyone older than 12 would immediately see past this stupidity and give this song an automatic skip after 10 seconds. I know it's just them having fun and stuff, but there's no reason why this needed to be included on the album. It's a terrible piece of music in all regards. 100. When You Fuck Grandpa. The equally deformed identical twin of Fuck a Dog. There's not really much else to say that won't be said about the other one in more detail when I get to it soon enough. Just replace Grandpa with Dog and it's practically the same damn song. I place this one below it because even though I value it as worthless, it still has the potential for others to find it humorous. For whatever reason, it doesn't have nearly the same level of popularity as the Dog one. I guess people just prefer dogs over the elderly. It's a gross, sick song, and I'll never have the desire to listen to it again until I become a grandfather and get the opportunity to discover that new perspective to be sickened by it. 99. Depends. Fecal humor is not really something I'm interested in. If you are, this is the song for you. And that's the whole song. It's a shame too because I actually like the back and forth vocals, but it's just not something I want to listen to because of the subject matter. It's just too idiotic. It's a rushed one-note song that, again, could have been taken off the album and it would have left nothing missing other than one less lousy joke song. It's a poor way to end the album. I really just wish Benoit Balls would have been the last thing, but between this and Just About Done, they are just two automatic skip-overs. 98. The Fallen Interlude. This album doesn't need two interludes, and this one's even worse than the first one. I don't understand the Latin hip-hop influence that has no connection with the rest of the album. Nothing Travis does during the interlude is the least bit impressive, enjoyable, or memorable. Also, it sounds like someone's just flopping their hands on the piano at random points throughout. And then there's that big payoff of some strange man saying down repeatedly as if he were a ghost. Overall, it's utter garbage and deserves an immediate skip. 97. Does My Breath Smell? This song's on whininess overload. Those girls just give these guys such a hard time. It's no wonder there was all that homoerotic imagery between them during the early years. Also, the idea of Tom DeLonge getting kneed in the groin is pretty hilarious. The lyrics are just endless hatred of women in a juvenile fashion. The line about lame and retarded broads accurately describes that. I don't really care for this song at all. It's not the worst thing they've ever done, but even on their earliest album, it's still unnecessarily immature and poorly constructed. I'd recommend any other song on the album over this one. 96. TV. I like TV as much as the next guy, but this song's still pretty stupid. At least it's very short, thankfully. All it is listening to some TV shows and the attitude that goes along with watching them. I think, anyway, the lyrics are generally incomprehensible. It's a random concept that doesn't really work. The laws at the end are annoying, but at least they signify a song's about to end. It's not something everyone will listen to again, except for maybe the intro. It's nothing more than a forgettable throwaway track. 95. Fighting the Gravity. This makes no sense, this makes no sense, this makes no. This could very well be the tagline to that whole album. Anyway, this is one of their worst. I dreaded having to listen to it again. It's one of the few Blink-182 songs I don't have on my music player, and honestly, never want to hear again. It's the worst song on the album, easily one of their worst main releases. It's just miserable, boring, and unpleasant. Every aspect of the song works against quality. The vocals sound like a cheap rehash of Plus 44's Little Death. The chorus is just sickening. Something's rotting in my brain. One accurate way to describe listening to the song. Maybe if the song was about listening to this song, it could be passable because then it would at least be fitting, but otherwise, it's a horribly failed attempt at describing drug use. 94. I'm Lost Without You. This song is so effeminate, whiny, and not to mention boring. Tom sounds like such a little girl in these lyrics, and I can usually tolerate the sappy, mopey attitude of a pop-punk singer, but this song crosses that line. The lyrics basically sound like a bad Rod Stewart song, and there's no real reason to say, I'm lost without you 50 times throughout. We got it the first couple times, how pathetic you became when she left you. I'm starting to understand why she did. The instruments aren't as bad as the lyrics, and there's some decent quality and experimentation which redeems it from being much lower. The guitar is beyond repetitive, but the piano's fantastic, and the intro as well. The drum solo at the end does nothing but provide evidence that Barker's kind of a mediocre drummer. The song's second biggest problem is its length. It drags on forever. It's like a more repetitive and longer version of Down's ending. And this song's length is already problematic since it could easily be condensed down to about 2.5 minutes, yet somehow manages to clock in at 6:17. And there's nothing wrong when a song is long, but in order to deserve the length, it needs to have substance and originality, like Roundabout by Yes, for example. It should not have the same basic guitar notes, the same boring drum beat, and not the same whiny repetition of the song's title over and over again. It's a terrible song, easily the worst in the self-titled album, and pretty much destroyed what little, if any, reputation Blink-182 had as a legitimate punk band. 93. Sometimes. I would consider this fairly punk. It's about a minute long, so I don't really have too much to say about it. The lyrics are kind of hard to understand. I think it's about being mistreated by girls or being in a bad relationship, the usual fare for them. Yeah, it's about a minute long. I guess the guitar's pretty cool. Moving on. 92. Boring. Another Blink-182 song where the title describes it. I can't really think of too much to say about this one. The vocals have no emotion whatsoever and are absolutely flat and forgettable. The rest of the instruments are just poor and uninspired. It's nothing that hasn't been used already, and this is only their second album. It's also a really short song, which is good considering its lack of quality or originality. Overall, it's bland, pointless, and probably the fastest written and recorded song on the album. 91. Heart's All Gone Interlude. There's not much of a point ripping on this song. Even though it's pointless and somehow manages to only be slightly less worthless than the Fallen Interlude, the sounds aren't good enough to warrant an interlude. It would be the same effort to take these effects, condense them a bit, and place them into the intro of just about any Angels and Airwaves song. Now that I think about it, what makes it even worse is it has nothing to do with Heart's All Gone. It sounds nothing like it. Maybe a little bit like Snake Charmer, but why the hell does it precede Heart's All Gone? Why is it called that? There's no logical reason I can think of for why a song needs to exist. There's nothing wrong with interludes. Hell, if it sounded anything like Life's So Boring, I'd appreciate it because it would be an effective break in transition to the style of the song to come. But it's not that, so I won't.
Well, that about wraps things up with this video. It's a huge sigh of relief getting those absolute worst songs out of the way so I can move on to the more tolerable ones. Because all this negativity is really bringing me down, 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 down. Anyway, see you next time when we take on 90 to 81. Check it out.